Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Look, Wrestling 101, classes in session. Pay attention to the teachings, that's from Andrew and Derek. I mean, these guys making a killing with no competition. Dynamic duo better than the Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys. Everybody make some noise, mess with them, you get destroyed. They cannot be beat, take a seat. Watch them do their thing on the MIC. Face defeat, they cannot be seen like JC. Oh my goodness, it's a killing spree.
This is the one above all, Anthony Gangone, and you're listening to Wrestling IQ 101.
Hey everyone, this is Andrew from Wrestling IQ 101. When I'm not hosting our podcast, I'm usually at collarandelbowbrand.com. That's right, Collar and Elbow is the only place that combines wrestling with street attire. And I know what you're thinking, I want to look fashionable too, and I also want to save 10%. So head over to collarandelbowbrand.com and use the promo code WIQ101 and look fashionable and save some money. And now, on with the show. Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of Wrestling IQ 101. I'm Andrew, and you can follow Wrestling IQ 101 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can listen to this interview right here on YouTube. And today I'm sitting with the cyborg assassin, Recon, man. How's it going?
Going good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man, and I'm glad you've been able to join us here. It's a new year, it's new you, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't typically fall into that. I've been the same me, just trying to be better version of me as it goes along.
Oh, sure.
So I don't do the whole New Year, new me for 2 weeks. I keep at it. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Sure. Let's start here. 2020 comes. It's supposed to be a big year for everybody. The quarantine happens. How was that for you, transitioning to having wrestling matches almost every week to just nothing?
Pretty rough.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean that kind of goes without saying, for everybody. But honestly, I feel that it allowed me to focus on improvement. So a lot of what happens is you get into a routine when you're wrestling constantly, you're fighting constantly, and you do it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you're traveling, and you kind of just do your same what you do. This gave me a chance to go, well, there's no shows, let's pull back on this, and let's get some more training in. Let's get focused, let's improve, let's get better, so when stuff does open up again, you can be ready.
Yeah. When you talk about improving, was it just physically improving in the ring, or was it something like verbal that you wanted to work on too, or what was it?
Mostly in ring, physically as well. Physically was a little challenging in a sense because a lot of the gyms were closed, but I was able to have access to a private gym. It wasn't open to the public, so, and a ring, so I was able to take advantage of that. And so, like I said, when we came back, it was, it's kind of like, in a horse race, when they open gates, there's that, they all go out, but there's always that one or two that's ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was going for, because I don't want to be along with the pack of everybody else. I want to be ahead of them. I don't need to blend in. I need to stand out.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, well, we're going to have time. Got to be a silver lining in this, for lack of a better term, this shitstorm. So there has to be something. So let's use this for that. So that's what I went for.
That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see that that training's been paying off for you. Steve Mack, right before the last show of Titan, he won that TCW Heavyweight Championship. But earlier in the year, you had beaten him. So Rick, do you feel like you should be the number one contender for Monster Mack's TCW Championship?
Oh, absolutely. even if I'm not the number one contender right out the gate, I absolutely should be given a shot. I beat him clean. There was no backstabbing. There was no low blows. There was no cutting corners. I beat him fair and square, clean, middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3. I mean, I gave him 3 Death Valley drivers, and I lost count of how many kicks to the head I gave him, and the kill shot, that was it. So, absolutely. I really feel that I should have that shot to face him, whether it's the first show back or not, but I have some unfinished business with a couple other individuals before I go for that, because when I go into something like that, there can be no distractions, there can be no loose strings. It has to be 100% focused on that. And truth be told, I have a couple people that I have to handle first. The main one would be Blaze Haram, because he cost me the TCW middleweight title, straight up.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned him, because back at BCW, the 4th anniversary, I mean, this year at TCW, I mean, you've had many encounters with him over the years. I mean, it's kind of, this is a pretty personal feud, right?
Oh yeah, I hate him.
Yeah.
And he hates me. We absolutely despise each other. He hates everything I stand for. I hate everything he stands for. There's no meeting in the middle at all. That's just it. And not just at Titan or BCW. We fought each other at Asylum Pro Wrestling in PA. Like, it began, I believe, beginning of November. I will say this: as much as I hate him, that was probably my best, or certainly one of my best fight matches to date. But yeah, I hate the guy. I ran into him probably a year ago, before I even got to Titan, right into BCW against him up here in upstate New York at Immortal Championship Wrestling. I already ran into him many times, and he seems to be just like a guy that just won't go away.
And
that's definitely a real personal issue I have with him.
Yeah, I love how this match carries on to other promotions too, like you just alluded to, because it has that real, like, I don't know how to describe it, but you could tell there's a personal rivalry here when you see that, like, everywhere you go, and it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's something you don't really see very much.
No.
I find a lot of guys, they just kind of, I don't know, I guess they just don't have that passion to really stand for what they might believe in, or what their morals, or where they come from.
Yeah.
But, and a lot of guys back down from whatever, but I don't back down from him, and he's certainly not going to back down from me. So I think that's going to continue, and I think, honestly, it's probably the first thing we're going to handle at TCW before I can move on, because I absolutely need to finish this with him.
Sure. Yeah, and I can't wait to see some of those matches that you guys have coming up when things resume for us. Let me ask you this. Who's more dangerous, the Jewish superstar Elliot Baratz or the difference maker Elliot Baratz?
I'd say the difference maker.
Yeah.
Is far more dangerous. He's more focused.
Mm-hmm.
He's gotten closer to who he is as a person. I'm not saying that he wasn't before, but he's really focused on what he's doing now. He's not trying to, maybe portray something, or not saying that that's not his background, but this is just a totally different guy. He's far more focused. He's way more hard-hitting than the last time I ran into him. Ran into him about 2 years ago, and it was a cluster of a match. It was like 6 to 8 guys, briefly battled him, and he's a totally different guy now, just like I am. We're not the same people we were then. We're a lot better. So the fight that we had was far better than what we would have brought say 2 years ago, it had been a singles match. So this was he really took it to me. So he's no joke. He actually is truly a difference maker. In this case, he was a difference maker for me as far as, adding another win in the win column. But
that's
he's
pretty impressive.
The real deal.
Like the winning is pretty impressive, I have to say. I mean, it's something that like it's fitting you. I mean, just winning here, winning there. It's just pretty awesome, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, a lot of guys think that the matches don't matter or that the outcomes of the matches don't matter. They absolutely do. In their own way, because it's how you're perceived by the fans who are watching, the fans that will tune in on streaming services, the fans that will, see the promos or the matches after the fact, and they'll go, oh, well, check this guy out. Let me look at what he does. Let me go check out his social media. Maybe let me go buy a ticket to Titan or BCW or Immortal, any of these places that I run through.
Mm-hmm.
And let me go see this guy in person. Let me go see if he's as cool as he is in person as he is on video. And same with any other guys that happen to have really good winning streaks. That's how it is. I'm not saying that you can't get over while going under, but that win does mean a lot.
Sure.
No matter what anyone says.
I'm really impressed about some of the opponents that you managed to look across the ring at. I mean, Sean Donovan, Mario Boccara, Joe Gacy. It's kind of amazing about how many different people you've locked up with and held your own with. It's pretty cool, right? These guys are veterans of the game that you're getting in the ring with.
Yeah, these are all guys that I can absolutely say that they are why I am the way I am in the ring. Because every time I've ever stepped in a ring, I always learned, evolved, grew better, leveled up, and continued on. I've always tried to be better than my last fight, my last bout, always. And when you go against guys that have been in it for 10, 15, some of them 20 years, been doing this, and you can stand toe-to-toe with them, and then afterwards they give you that respect that, all right, kid, I see you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just some dreamer. You're not some, wannabe pro wrestler. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of those guys out there. I'm sure that'll rub somebody the wrong way, but that's the truth. There's a lot of wannabes out there. But when you have guys like that when they shake your hand, they mean it. Mm-hmm. When they give you that respect and they actually mean it, and they say, yeah, this kid can go. This kid can really handle his own, and just continues getting better and better. That means everything. To have them, in a sense, vouch for you that, yeah, he's good. That means everything.
Yeah, and it's going to help you with other promotions because they'll be like, "Wow, this guy's like, he's responsible. He comes in and does what he has to do safely." So, yeah, that's kind of cool that these veterans, when they give you that nod of approval, that just helps you get further along where you want to go.
Absolutely. Yeah, when I fought Simon Gotch right before the pandemic shut down. Mm-hmm. The same thing. He handled my own. Retained my title against him, and he gave that respect because he was like, and he's a lot. He just handles himself in the ring a lot differently than a lot of guys, and his style is very different and unique. So than what I'm used to. Mm-hmm. However, being able to throw down with him and kind of come up to that level or meet him at that certain level, and then end up beating him. That clearly means that I'm onto something. Certainly not going to sit here and say I'm the greatest ever. Like, that's a bunch of crap. People that actually buy into that or actually believe that. You have to, in a sense, believe it, but you have to know that you don't know everything, because in this business, you're never going to know everything.
Sure.
You're always going to learn. The best guys always learn. The guys that stop learning are the guys that get left behind.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that, not like historical funny, but yeah, I mean, you're onto something, and everybody can see that. I mean, you got the wins. I mean, you picked up championships in other places, of course, that are super impressive. But I have to ask you this. This is a personal question here. You remember the first wrestler that I know who's actually been on TikTok? Do you like actually doing the Roman Reigns with the fanny pack? I thought that was hilarious.
I just did it because it legitimately broke.
Okay.
It actually really, the snapped on it.
Right.
I don't know what I think I accidentally stepped on it or something, and I didn't even step hard, and it just snapped.
Oh, that's crushing.
So I just said, well, you know what, let me get something out of that. So I don't know, it just kind of popped in my head. Very, very, very much like how it was portrayed on the video. That kind of light bulb. Oh, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, right. You don't have an extra one on you. Just make it stylish in your own way, right? So yeah, props
exactly.
to you, man.
Yeah, the throw over the shoulder was, I'm supposed to be Stone Cold and The Rock and the Roman Reigns. Yeah, that's the whole spiel. So.
Yeah.
Hogan, and that was it.
Yep.
A couple. I'm giving advice to some of the rookies on their way up.
Yeah.
Really just kidding on that, but giving them their little, here guys, in case you break your fanny pack, here you go, you can wear it like this.
Yeah, the whole Hogan thing was like hilarious. I was like, wow, that's pretty smart too. Like there's so many different things you could do with it.
Do that. I mean, I had just thrown on. I think it was. What was it? WCW NWO Sold Out, 98, I think. And he came out doing that with the title, and I was like, okay, oh yeah, all right, let's do that.
Yeah, that's classic. I love when he does that. I love when Kyle O'Reilly does that on NXT.
Yes, with with
the tag titles or something like that.
Era theme that's clearly influenced by the NWO theme. You can kind of sort of hear it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You can hear the throwback to it, or yes, but it was definitely influenced by it.
Yeah, a little homage there to the NWO. Too sweet, right? Growing up, you alluded to WCW, but growing up, were you a WCW guy? Were you a WWE guy?
When I was growing up, I don't have your typical, story that everybody has when they, I was 5 years old and turned on the TV and I was sitting with my dad or uncle, put in whatever male/father figure that you want in there. I watched it. I didn't do any of that. In my household, wrestling wasn't exactly liked.
Okay.
This and that. No offense to my own mother, but she thought it was trash.
Okay.
Can sort of understand, because when I tried watching it, or I remember turning it on and then she quickly turned it off, it was right around the Attitude Era. So probably wasn't something that you'd exactly want little 8-year-old Ricky watching at the time. So I could sort of understand that. But no, I didn't grow up a fan. I started watching it. I was about 15, 16. My high school buddy put it on. I was over at his house. I think the first match I saw was Raw. I don't remember the date, but it was John Cena against Jeff Hardy. And I thought, wow, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen. This is I don't know what the hell they're doing, but this is great. So I started casually watching it. I couldn't always go over to his house or whatever. And then I remember when SmackDown was on public TV, and I really started going upstairs, and there was a TV upstairs, and I would kind of turn it on and sneak watch through SmackDown, and then I kind of got my mom to say, all right, you can watch it. So I started just watching SmackDown, and I remember when Undertaker came out, and I don't think I blinked for the whole 15 minutes that he was out. He's why I wanted to be a professional wrestler when I first saw him, because his presence was second to none. There's never been a presence like him in wrestling ever.
Yeah.
And he was in a program with Edge. And I thought Edge, as much as I disliked him for being just that asshole chicken shit heel, I loved him. He was so cool. He had the great gear. He had the cool hair and the entrance jacket and everything else. And, you know, I would say those guys were the guys that influenced me to actually, like, have that in the back of my head of, hey, you know, I'd like to be a pro wrestler someday. And I put it off for quite a few years. There wasn't really a pool around me or anything for me to jump at it. But that would be why I really started doing it, was because of those two.
Yeah, let me ask you this, because now that I know you're an Edge and Undertaker fan, this must be bittersweet for you, right? Edge comes back in 2020, The Undertaker leaves in 2020. How did you feel about that kind of stuff?
Oh, 2020, it started with, I will be honest, there was a tear or two shed.
Okay.
There was a choked up lump in the throat when Edge came back, because I remember when he retired, and that really hurt a lot. I felt that, like, in my soul. And then when he came back 9 years later, it was phenomenal, man. It was so phenomenal just to see him came back. Not for nothing, dude was in the best shape of his life.
Yeah.
Bar none. But and you could see it on his face that he was really trying to maintain, because he thought he'd never have that moment again. And he did.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of put yourself in his boots and think, well, what happens if you got it all taken away and you couldn't do it for 9 years, and then you got that shot again, what that would feel like. And you knew exactly how he felt. And all that just came to the surface, and I felt that really hard. Then obviously we went through the pandemic, and that was just awful. And then, of course, end of the year, you know, I mean, things kind of start getting a little bit of hope. And then, obviously, you know, wrestling kind of evolved, and, like, they got to, you know, they did the whole Thunderdome thing, and other promotions were able to get around it, you know, do closed sets, or, you know, New Japan Pro Wrestling can have crowds back now because they actually, like, listened to the way they were supposed to handle a pandemic. And look at that, they have a crowd and shows in Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, right.
And then, of course, you see Undertaker have to go. You know, he ends it right there. He has his retirement ceremony, because and unfortunately, it wasn't in front of a real crowd, which honestly, he was kind of. It really should have been in front of a real crowd, but I understand he was done. You know, and he'd started to kind of really pull back the curtain on Mark Calloway and all that, and it's a real trip to see him talk the way he does, honestly, because you know, you can kind of just see you could see him not sure about some things that he's saying, and, like, should I say this?
Yeah.
And then he just says it, and because he's not Undertaker really anymore. He's Mark Calloway. You know, Undertaker has been laid to rest. So that was for those two guys, it was kind of a gamut of emotions, honestly.
Yeah, right?
For two guys that influenced me so much, you know, just to see that Edge returns and then Taker leaves a lot.
Yeah, what a crazy year. And like you said, the Undertaker pulling back that curtain, saying, "Hey, you know, I'm done here." It was pretty shocking, and that documentary was amazing, though. It was pretty awesome.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The whole like series of little documentaries that they had on Undertaker and Paul Bearer and Kane and all that, everything that had to do with the dead man, I watched all of them. You know, and like the Broken Skull sessions with Austin. And when you watch it, you listen, and I swear, like, he talks, and for 5 minutes, and you learn something. So, like, you know, I know a lot of guys, you know, my age or younger, are like, oh, these old heads don't know anything. They know a lot more than you'll probably ever know. So, you might want to shut up and listen to them occasionally.
Yeah, especially, like, he's been doing this at the highest level for the biggest company for 30 years. Like, how can you not like listen to him, right?
Exactly. I don't. Yeah.
And it's crazy too, because there was moments where, like you said, like he's vulnerable, and you don't like, and he gets the same problems that like a lot of wrestlers have, where he loses confidence, or he has like all the confidence in the world if it's a good match, and that's kind of like the stuff that a lot of wrestlers go through every weekend or every week, right? And it's kind of crazy. This guy's been doing it for so long.
It can be a very. It can be when they talk about it being a roller coaster. They're not just talking about, you know, going from a really like hole in the wall shindy place to like WWE or New Japan or whatever. Not just the destination, but like going there and then the roller coaster of your mind and your emotions and soul and your confidence, and it's a rough road. It's a great ride, but it's a really rough road. You know, I'm only 5 years in. I can imagine 30, 35, 40 years like some of these guys.
Yeah, and it has been an impressive 5 years. You've done so much. I mean, just incredible you've been in the ring with. I mean, Simon Grimm that you just alluded to before. You have a pro wrestling t-shirt online store, which is pretty cool. You got some cool stuff up there. But I got to tell you, there's a lot of wrestlers who've had some fantastic sunglasses over the years. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels with those heart kind of sunglasses. You know, and of course, you were able to trade your glasses with Mike Orlando. How cool is that, knowing that you guys did a little trade there for a few minutes?
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. At the time, he was sort of, he'd been in it. Well, I mean, he's been in it longer than I have. But you know, he was at the time he was a bit of a mentor to me.
Mm-hmm.
That you know, kind of lost touch a little bit, you know, because we're kind of going through different stages of our life and everything, and
mm-hmm.
and you know, I mean, we kept in contact for a bit. Like I said, he moved to Florida. I'm still here and everything, so it's kind of like we're not really on the same shows anymore. But yeah, that was pretty cool. We kind of had similar looks, and it wasn't really intentional. It was kind of, I feel, a lot of it was we had very similar influences and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, like I said, we all kind of evolve and everything. So you know, he's kind of doing what he's doing now. I'm doing my thing. It kind of really got into the whole cyborg, you know, the American assassin and all that. That's kind of like, you know, another evolution going forward. A lot of people have been saying like, oh, you kind of remind me of like a bit of John Morris, and you have a little bit of HBK in there. You know, I think it's the whole pretty boy thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even something I'm necessarily like going for. I think it's just something I have. I guess my hair or something. But yeah, I was just kind of going with it, honestly.
Yeah.
And just kind of adding that little bit of a rocker, which is part of who I am, rocker influence or vibe, I should say, into the cyborg, the machine.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool that you're blending all that stuff together. How'd you come up with those glasses? I mean, how'd you get them? Was it a long process, or did you just find them in like a store?
I just found them online.
Oh, really? That's crazy.
Yeah, I just found them online, honestly.
Yeah, they look like custom made, right?
They look dope. I like those. I kind of change them out every little now and again. Like I have a pair of red aviators.
Yeah.
I have another pair of like, they almost look like futuristic reflective glasses. I have like just regular mirror aviators. I actually have a pair of aviators that I wear. I think it was to couple of my last bouts I had. One with Nikos, and then at the Titan Championship Rumble that we had. They look like normal. I mean, they are normal aviators, but they're actually the aviators of my late uncle, who was probably my closest uncle. He passed away in October, or actually end of September.
Sorry.
September. So
Sorry,
it was just one of the things that he like left, and my dad kind of just picked him up and said, "Yeah, those this is your style, man. Go wear these, keep those." So that's kind of one of the things I've been wearing. So I kind of like cycle through the glasses.
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned Bret Hart. I might even, depending on the pair, I might start handing them off to the fans. Give the kids something.
Oh, that's a nice idea. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, I always loved Bret Hart too. He was another influence of mine.
Yeah.
Like just when I was just training and everything, I really gravitated a lot towards Bret Hart and his in-ring style. Obviously, I added my own to that, but like I love the stuff he does, and I love the sharpshooter.
Yeah.
That will forever be the move I try to submit people with. I've always loved the sharpshooter.
Yeah.
I remember putting it on my poor younger brother so many times.
Yeah.
So a sharpshooter it's where it's at. I mean, besides the figure four, I don't know of any submission move that everyone knows what that is immediately as soon as they see it.
Yeah, the
Get
sharpshooter.
a reaction like that, because they know what it is, they know what time it is, and they know what it does. So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're mentioning on those legs, right? You just, I've done that too as a kid, so it's pretty funny that you mentioned that. So when you're on the road, do you have any funny like rib stories you can tell us, or is there a spot that you have to go to? I mean, some wrestlers, they talk about like Sheets and Wawa. There's like a big feud. Is there any...
that's kind of I find that to be a very like localized dumb feud, honestly. Like, they're both great. They both save my ass when it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm heading back from a show and there's nothing else open, and there's gas, 24 hours, there's good food, there's a lot of different variety. Like, it's a dumb feud. Like, it serves their purpose. I'm sure everybody's been to it, one or both of them.
Yeah.
I love them both equally. I don't want to hear it.
Okay.
So there's that. That's not to you. It's just other wrestlers that I've seen guys have like 200 or more comment threads on it, and I'm like, come on, guys, really?
Yeah,
like,
but it's a real thing.
I know it's a real thing, but I'm like, the time you spend, yammering on your comments, you could be going training or lifting some more weight, man.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Anyway, that's just me. That's just my attitude. I guess I'm just
That's
something like that.
That's funny.
But as far as rib stories, I have one. It's not really like, it wasn't really a rib in a sense, but it was the fear of a rib.
Oh.
Like the guy that trained me, Shockwave the Robot. He is a very unique individual. I guess that's probably the nice. Well, I don't say the nicest way to put it, but he's just a very odd, unique cat. He just always is, always was.
Mm-hmm.
Trained me. I do a lot of what he taught me for my foundation, as far as like how to work, how to actually wrestle, grapple, all that. So like without that, I don't think I would have been where I'm at today. So I definitely give him props for that. But it was probably the first year I was still learning. Things was still really green. Decent, but for a green guy, but still very, very green.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a road trip to Maine. Worked up there. I think it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or maybe just Friday, Saturday. It was me. It was Shockwave. It was Christina Marie. I trained with her too. We trained at the same place.
Mm-hmm.
This other dude, Scott. So we went up to the place, and we'd heard all sorts of stories about this guy, about ribbing people, like snipping people's hair while they were sleeping, just drawing like all over their face, or throwing like hamburgers when the guy's passed out drunk or whatever. So it was all these stories that he told us. So basically everything that we were doing was to like make sure he couldn't rib us. So So, like, in the hotel room, if I had to go take a phone call, I would stand outside, but I would hold the handle and put my foot against the door so he couldn't close it and lock me out. When we slept, I slept with a hoodie over my face, and I actually tied the strings to cover my hair so that he wouldn't cut my hair, because I obviously have nice long hair, so I didn't want that cut. My girlfriend at the time was like, if he cuts your hair, I'm going to kill him. I'm like, all right, I really don't need any of that on my conscience. So did that. When we went to the gym and we're showering, I mean, I literally brought all my stuff in with me into the shower and just put it in a corner so like he couldn't take it.
Oh my God.
It was basically, it wasn't a rib, but it was the paranoia of it, and it was literally us all weekend just waiting for it to happen. And I don't know if that was like it was unintentional or it was an intentional like psych out from him, because that's the type of shit he would do. And then the other, there was one rib. It has to do with the school. It wasn't like that big of a deal, but like I remember I forgot my boots there one time, and he took them, tied the strings together, and threw them over the support beam that was up on the ceiling. And then he took the ladder and he hid the ladder out the back. So I had to go find the ladder and then get up there and grab my boots.
Yeah.
I never left him there again.
Yeah, right?
So, So that was just, I haven't dealt with too many ribs, but there was that slight rib, and then there was the fear of the rib.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
That was probably the most, it was like living in sleep with your eyes open, basically.
Yeah, right. That's hilarious. You know, I mean, 5 years in, and you're having so many great matches. I mean, with Astro Morales, Nikos Ricos. Where do you see yourself? Where do you want to be? Are you looking at AEW, or are you looking at NXT, or are you looking at Impact? I mean, where do you want to go? If you had your ideal place, what's your goals?
New Japan. New Japan Pro Wrestling. New Japan Strong. Anything to do with New Japan or All Japan. I feel that they have the best pro wrestling on the planet.
Okay.
Not that the companies don't have great wrestling or are good at sports entertainment. They're pro wrestling through and through. Their dark match curtain jerkers can bury some of the main events on other federations.
Okay.
That's just reality. Their dojos are brutal, but they build the best pro wrestlers out there. Like, just think of the names that they have there. Or even the guys that were like, let's say, for example, back in the day, guys that the WWE or WWF would pick up, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero. You know when they picked them up? WCW picked them up, and then WWF grabbed them.
Yeah.
But they grabbed them when they were hot, fresh off their New Japan run. They learned their best shit there, and then they brought it back to the States, and it just elevated them completely. You look at the roster that they have now: Kazuchika Okada, Shingo Takagi, Will Ospreay, Jay White, Tetsuya Naito, Ibushi. The list goes on of the guys, the talent that they have, and that to me, that's where I want to go. Now, obviously, this is the East Coast of the United States. Japan's over there. That's a lot of flights, obviously. But to me, the first place that I'm looking at is New Japan Strong. That's down in Florida.
Okay.
It's a real short plane trip, man.
Yeah.
That is that's my focus. And also, I would love to do work with MLW.
Okay, yeah. I could see you fitting in.
MLW, right there in New York City. That's where they do the taping.
Yeah.
Fantastic roster. I know a few guys that are on there. I wrestled one. I wrestled Richard Holiday in a triple threat in his hometown in Connecticut. I know these. I know a couple guys. They do great pro wrestling, and the way that they present it is awesome. I just love their presentation. The way that they do it. That's some of my goals. I would love to go to NXT. Like, if there was a tryout, and I was, and I was contacted to do a tryout, I'm gonna be on the plane. I'll be on the plane, and I'll go. Absolutely, love to do a tryout.
Yeah,
absolutely will. I'll go. I'll go anywhere that I'm wanted and where I can then be appreciated. Because like I said before at the beginning of it, I don't want to be the guy that's just in the pack and kind of blends in. I never wanted to be that guy. Basically, I want to see a place that I see, listen, there's a role that needs to be filled.
Yeah.
They don't have this. I'm this. Here you go. That's when they push that contract across the table and say, there you go, man. Fine. Go ahead. Fill in the number.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going for. I also, like, my main thing for me is I just want to have the absolute best matches that I can possibly have and possibly give any of these companies. So that when they see my name, they go, the fans and the rest of the roster of the company goes, this is going to be some good shit. Let's go watch Recon kick some ass. With whoever it is. I don't care who it is. I don't care who I work, because I can have great matches with anybody. Of any weight class, any level of experience. I've had great matches with guys that have been doing it less than 2 years. I've had great matches with guys that have been doing it 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
I just want to show what I can bring to the table. I just need and want that one opportunity. That's all I need.
Yeah. And yeah, I hope you get something like that. One last question before we get to the end here. What TV shows or movies or songs would people be surprised that you enjoy?
I mean, surprised that I would enjoy. Obviously, I'm not going to count wrestling shows because that's kind of obvious. Besides, I don't count those as TV shows for me. I count those as watching film.
Okay.
Watching back tape. So I would say, like, any of the shows I actually like, that might be a surprise, is I like The Office.
Oh, nice.
I know some people are for some reason, it's a very controversial show. I don't know why. I guess I can appreciate it because I've worked in office settings like that before for years. So on the shoot. So I guess I can kind of appreciate that. I find it funny. I'd say another one would probably be How I Met Your Mother.
Okay.
I find that very funny. That's one of me and my girlfriend's favorite shows. Something we can both appreciate and watch. So that might be surprising for some people to see. Like, obviously they see me, and then those are the shows that I watch. It might be somewhat of a disconnect.
Yeah.
And I would say, as far as movies, I tend to. I don't know. I like kind of like the obviously I like Star Wars.
Okay.
Star Wars is great.
Yeah.
I'm still kicking myself because I haven't really delved into The Mandalorian yet. But that's I'll get to that at some point. I'm sure Ricos, if he's listening to this, because this is super Mandalorian mark, probably wants to fight me again just for that. That's fine. That's fine. I hope that gives them some fuel next time we fight, because last fight we had was brutal.
Yeah, it was. It was an amazing match.
I loved it. Brutal. All those shots, nothing was pulled back. I hope you know that.
Really?
Every shot was real.
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh, every shot was real. So that was to prove a point that we could carry it and hold our own. That was what that was for. Anyway. So I like Star Wars. That's kind of a basic one, but I would say probably my favorite movies that I like, I love The Lord of the Rings.
Oh, nice.
The Lord of the Rings trilogy. To me, those movies, as far as fantasy movies, will never be touched. I don't think they should ever be remade. I don't think they should ever try to be emulated in any way. Leave them alone. They're perfect. that's just me.
Yeah. Well, Rick, we've hit that time. But let me ask you this before we let you go. Is there anywhere people will need to find you on social media if they want to stay in touch with you, they want to see where your matches are going to be when they resume, how to get to that Pro Wrestling Tees link?
Yep, that one's easy. Yeah, ProWrestlingTees.com/RickRecon.
Okay.
That's that one. As far as social media, pretty easy. I don't have a name that like a lot of people have, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
So Twitter, RickRecon1. Instagram is Rick_Recon. Facebook is just Rick Recon. As far as YouTube, just search Rick Recon. There's a list of matches. Have at it, kids. I'm sure you'll pull one of them out there that's pretty decent, or people would enjoy.
Well, Rick, I mean, it's been fascinating talking with you. It's been fascinating to watch some of your matches. And, I mean, 5 years in, and, I mean, you're standing against the ring with some of the best in the world at their craft. And I hope, in 5 more years, people are going to be saying that about you. Like, hey, we were in the ring with you, and that, you made, and I hope all your dreams come true in that ring, because you've been absolutely outstanding to watch during this pandemic. So I really
Thank
hope.
you, man. I really do appreciate that.
Yeah,
it
really.
It means a lot.
Yeah,
really. And that's definitely the goal, man. Is to be that guy, that like give the people. The main thing for me is, besides great fights, great matches,
mm-hmm.
is give those people moments that they'll never forget.
Yeah,
They'll always remember. That's the goal. That should be the goal for everybody that steps in that ring.
Yeah.
Give somebody a moment. Give somebody a memory.
Yeah. Before I do the sign off here, I have to tell you, we went to BCW back in August, and my girlfriend saw you, and she came with me to that show right after, to TCW, and she was like, "Oh my God, I remember him," and she remembered your match, and she was like, "It's amazing that he's here too." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty awesome that we get to see him here and there." So it's pretty amazing that you're getting to different places and you're bringing your talent, and and like she said, my girlfriend's not a wrestling fan, and so the fact that she remembered you was pretty awesome, I think.
No, that is that also that's definitely, that's what you're going for. That's exactly what I'm going for.
Yeah.
Is, listen, if somebody who isn't a wrestling fan can remember you,
mm-hmm.
that's the ticket, man.
Yeah.
That's the ticket. So that's awesome to hear. Tell her I appreciate that.
I will.
I really do. Believe me, it means a lot.
I will definitely tell her. And for us, this has been Wrestling IQ 101. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by typing in Wrestling IQ 101. Or you can listen to us right here on YouTube. And we'll see everybody really soon.